For over 250 years, people across Europe have been digging up the same baffling metal object. It is a hollow bronze ball with 12 flat faces, each one cut with a perfectly round hole. Every one of the holes is a different size, and 20 tiny knobs stick out from its corners. Most are 4 to 11 centimeters wide, fitting neatly in your palm, made with enormous skill. And yet, after nearly 300 years of study, nobody on Earth knows for certain what it was for. This is the Roman Dodecahedron, and it is one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries. The first one was rediscovered back in 1739, buried in a field in the English countryside. Since then, around 120 of these strange objects have turned up across the old Roman Empire. As recently as 2023, amateur diggers unearthed another one in a field in Norton Disney, England. Each new discovery deepens a puzzle that has buried every expert who ever died trying to solve it. They appear mostly in the lands the Romans called Gaul and Britain, in the empire's cold north. Strangely, almost none of the 120 have ever been found in Italy, the heart of the Roman world. Whatever they were, they mattered most on the cold, dangerous frontiers where men died young. They date from roughly the year 100 to the year 300, the height of Roman power in the region. But here is the first detail, debated for 2 centuries, that makes this mystery so maddening. The people of Rome wrote down almost everything, from recipes and laws to rude jokes. Yet in all of that writing, there is not one single mention of these dodecahedrons anywhere. In 1,000 years of Latin writing, there is no name and no drawing. The knowledge simply vanished. And here is why that silence across 2,000 years is so chilling to the people who study them. Whatever these objects did, the secret died with the Romans, and not one record survived to save it. But here is the twist. For 250 years, the theories have only multiplied, never narrowing down. Some have counted well over 50 separate explanations, and almost none of them fully fit. Now imagine you are the archaeologist holding one, turning the cold bronze over in the dark. The first popular idea, back in the 1800s, was that it was the head of a spiked Roman mace. But the thin bronze, often under 100 grams, could never survive a single real blow in battle. And a soldier whose weapon shattered on the first swing would quickly end up dead. So the weapon idea falls apart. And the next theory is that it was a Roman toy or game. But these objects were expensive to cast in bronze, far too precious to be a child's plaything. Others insist it was a sacred object of Roman Gaul, used in rituals we can no longer reconstruct. Some link them to the Druids, whose priests the Romans hunted down and killed across the empire. If so, the dodecahedron may guard a secret its priests carried with them to their deaths. A few have even been found buried alongside 20 Roman coins, as if hidden away like treasure. Stranger still, a few were found placed carefully inside Roman graves, buried beside the dead. In one Gallo-Roman burial, a dodecahedron lay by the body, as if it mattered in the afterlife. Whatever its true purpose, someone wanted this object close to them even in death. A handful turned up with traces of wax still clinging to the inside of their hollow shells. That led some to argue the simplest answer of all. It was just an ornate candle holder. But nobody casts a delicate 12-sided bronze puzzle just to hold one small, ordinary candle. But here is where the mystery takes a much more clever and surprising turn. Many researchers now believe the dodecahedron was a precise measuring or surveying instrument. The idea is that a Roman surveyor looked through 2 holes to measure a distance or an angle. By lining up a far-off object through 2 holes, you could work out how distant it really was. That would make it priceless to a Roman legion marching through unknown enemy land. But this clever theory has one fatal flaw that refuses to go away. But no 2 of the 120 known examples are the same size, and a real instrument must be standardized. If your measuring tools all give different answers, your measurements are worthless and dangerous. So the survey theory stumbles too, and we are left reaching for an even stranger answer. And then there is the strangest find of all, unearthed in Roman Gaul, which deepens the confusion. At one site, archaeologists dug up a cousin object with 20 faces instead of 12. If we cannot explain the 12-sided one, the 20-sided version leaves us completely lost. And yet, in the last 20 years, one quieter theory has slowly been winning people over. It suggests the object was a craft tool, specifically for knitting woolen gloves in Roman Britain. And here is where it gets clever. Modern crafters wrap yarn around the knobs to knit glove fingers. The 12 different hole sizes would neatly make different finger widths, which fits beautifully. And gloves would have been priceless in the freezing Roman north, where soldiers could lose fingers. Imagine you are a Roman soldier on the frozen northern wall, far from home and slowly freezing. On the Roman wall, men died of cold and disease far more often than they ever died in battle. But even this charming theory hits the same brutal wall as all the others. There is not one shred of Roman evidence that they ever knitted anything at all. Knitting as we know it may not have been invented until 1100 years later, far too late for Rome. But then others argue it was an astronomical device for finding the best dates to plant crops. Get the planting date wrong in the cold north, and a whole harvest could fail and people starve. What is interesting is that across Roman Gaul, others say it was just a rich elite status symbol. And a handful of experts at the British Museum quietly admit the answer died and was buried with Rome. But here is the detail that haunts the archaeologists more than any other. Each object took a Roman metalworker real skill and days of work, so they mattered to someone. Someone spent days casting and finishing each one, and then guarded it like it was precious. Whatever they were for, Roman hands carried them 1,000 miles to the very edge of the empire. And then, when Rome fell, the meaning of these objects died completely and was lost to us. Every theory we have explains some of the clues, but not one of them explains them all. It survived the fall of Rome around the year 476, even as its makers died and the answer was lost. Empires collapse, languages fade, and knowledge that everyone once shared can vanish forever. So what does this little bronze puzzle really teach you about the past? It teaches you that even imperial Rome could let its own everyday secrets die and vanish. And it reminds you that history is full of pages that died with the people who once wrote them. Somewhere out there, more dodecahedrons still lie buried, holding an answer that died with Rome. Until one of them finally gives up its secret, the Roman dodecahedron keeps its silence.